Morning, morning.
Good morning, Derek.
Figured today would be a debated even doing a room. And if it stays like this, I guess I'll still do the room. Wait till the other room closes and see. I should just do it anyway because I need to publish it. I need something to email out, blah, blah, blah. There's all the replays and all that stuff later. So I guess I will do it. And here come people. So, all right. I feel better about it now. I should be used to it because I've done hundreds of hours of live, like StreamYard, Facebook video podcasts, interviewing people to zero people watching, one person watching, two people watching, one person watching.
Actually,
Yeah,
Derek, I think a lot of people are distracted by the holiday, but maybe for those that are home and getting ready or preparing food or whatever you're doing, it's great to have something to log into and listen to. And that's what I thought of this morning was, oh, I hope Derek has his room. Because even though I'm home today, I would still love to participate with you because you're always so awesome. So thank you. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving if I don't get to say that to you at some point today. I hope you enjoy it with the kids.
thanks. And same to you. Everybody's congregating at your house, I'm guessing.
Actually, no. So this is weird for me. My both of my kids are with their in-laws this year. So one is already gone to Tennessee. The other is leaving tomorrow morning to head to New Jersey. So Vinny and I are just going across the street to my brother's house for Thanksgiving. And my sister-in-law has insisted that I not prepare or cook a thing, which is very unusual for me. So I'm not doing anything this year. It's very weird. So I'm going to go out shopping today. It's crazy, but I love it. It's a good change.
Yeah, sweet. That's like I enjoy now for whatever reason. I people don't expect me to bring anything or do anything for anything, even though I'm fully capable and would probably do it better in a lot of cases. But yeah, so you could actually not even like bring one dish or bring the rolls or anything, just show up and do nothing. That's awesome.
Absolutely nothing, but I think I am going to go like maybe on ChatGPT or just Google today, like a special Thanksgiving or holiday-ish kind of cocktail and maybe put that together to bring over because that doesn't count as food, right? So I can bring something fun to drink. So I think I'm gonna do that. And by the way, I also wanted to comment. I loved, I don't know, you mentioned in some room about your mother trying different things and that you asked her to go back to the basics this year. So I was laughing about that because I think we all sometimes try to do something different, but we all just love the traditions. So I got a good chuckle out of that. So I hope you enjoy your meal.
I will for sure, thoroughly. I gotta find somewhere to eat tomorrow because I'll see the kids in the morning, and then they usually go with my ex for Thanksgiving with them, and then Friday we'll have my family's Thanksgiving. But last year I made the mistake of I've never been to Cracker Barrel, and I don't like chains to begin with, and I know it's a chain, whatever. But I'm like, I don't, for some reason I thought it would be kind of good maybe, and I went there just to get like some Thanksgiving food, and it was like I couldn't even eat it. I barely could eat the pie or the roll. Like I left not even, it was a huge letdown. So I will never, I didn't plan ahead. It was like a last second thing. I was like on my way home from a hike. And I was like, huh, I wouldn't mind eating a Thanksgiving dinner. I was driving. I was like, Cracker Barrel's open. All right, I'll go in there. And it was the worst. So I won't make that mistake again.
I think since you're getting the traditional on Friday, you should just like go for Chinese or sushi tomorrow. And then
Oh,
you
that's a
won't be
fantastic idea.
disappointed.
Yeah, some pad thai or something.
Derek, I wish you were closer. I would invite you to join us, but I know it's way too far. But I'll be thinking of you.
Yes, a little bit. And I also, I guess I can hang out. I probably will hang out at least part of the day at the firehouse, so I could, yeah, spend the day giving back or whatever. And I don't know, maybe somebody does something at the firehouse. I don't know. I would assume somebody's on duty all day for sure. There's at least two people that are paid to be there 24/7. Um,
Do they have a kitchen there,
so yeah.
Derek? Because I feel like firemen are always cooking when they're on duty. I feel like that would be a good place to go.
Yes, there is a full kitchen. The one I specifically joined the firehouse because there's a few in my jurisdiction or my borough, but I joined the one I joined because it was had the biggest facility. It's the one with like the rental facility that people can get. It's got like a little museum there. It's got the most trucks in the biggest garage. It has a workout room and a conference room. It's where all the other stations come for like a company-wide training. So I kind of picked the one. There's a big room with a huge TV and like 20 full size lazy boy recliners. Um, but yeah, there's a full kitchen. It always that's one of the parts it smells like I don't it smells like when you walk into a an apartment building or something. I don't know what to equate it to. There's a certain smell of the fire or of our fire station anyway. It's a mixture between like random foods and cleaning supplies maybe or and maybe like rubber, like all the smells of the metals and like all the tools and stuff. There's a very distinct smell, but yes, I'll probably chill out there. And I haven't been I like I've been on two calls so far. Like I can't really do much anymore. I got a bunch of training and it was full, so I have to wait till March, April to do the training that allows me to actually go into and do fire stuff. And I don't really know anything about anything anyway, so I can't be of much use, but I'm still allowed to go on calls, and if there is something I can do, they can task me with it. But every time I hang out there and am open to going to calls, nothing ever happens. So I don't hope that bad things happen, but maybe tomorrow I'll get to actually do something. And there's a flashover training coming up, which a flashover is when you're fighting the fire in there and the fire overtakes you, flashes over you. Um, that's coming up, but I'm not sure if I can do that or not because I didn't take the other ones that qualify me to go inside. So you might have to have the Mod A, Mod B ones, they call them, uh, to be able to do that. So I'm hoping I can do that, but I'm not sure if I will be allowed to or not. Anyhow, 12 passed. We'll get at her. It might be a short-ish one anyway. Have a little bit of news, big news really, but I'm still kind of digesting it all. So I'll try to give kind of an overview of the news. Not only am I or we dealing with NAR and DOJ and lawsuits with them, but Google is also in trouble in hot water with multiple lawsuits and DOJ weighing in and all this stuff. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit for the news, and then we'll do the end of the audit for Kelly Bob Bayer in Gainesville, Texas, part 4, and that'll be the products, the updates, and the Q&A section. I think are the last three things. If you remember, there used to be messages. You could message a business. That tab and that feature has gone away, so that's nothing to check. And then also there was a call tracking button in there, but that I wouldn't be able to see on my end anyway. So we just have the products updates and the Q&A to check out on his profile. So I'll get her started. Welcome to Google for Real Estate. We're here live on Clubhouse every Wednesday, 9 to 10 a.m., even on Thanksgiving Eve. Might be a mistake, but we're here. Give you something to listen to while you're cooking that turkey or whatever. And hopefully everybody got their turkey out a week or so ago. What Sunday? I guess my mom was saying she was getting hers. So I guess 4 or 5 days is enough. Depends how big your turkey is, I suppose. I made that mistake once, and that was it at college? I think it was my early 20s with my buddies. We had a friendsgiving or whatever, and we still cooked it. It was just like the outer third of it ended up being really, really dry, undigestible. The skin was destroyed, but we actually made it work, I think. But anyway, every Wednesday, 9 to 10 a.m., most Wednesdays, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern on Clubhouse there, or you can check it out with all the links in the chat for the replays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and I'm going to be starting to put it on YouTube for YouTube Podcasts. That's a up and coming podcast platform for audio stuff. But also, I do have a YouTube channel there already for Search Bomb, and I sometimes share videos there. I'm not religious about it. I'm going to start being religious about it and kind of put more effort into it. So the link above, if you're live on Clubhouse, the link above is to subscribe to my Search Bomb YouTube channel, which will be only Google tips and that kind of stuff. So if you want to hit that up, feel free to. I'm going to start focusing on that. a little bit more and posting there religiously when I put it everywhere else and doing my thing over there. So yeah, we're here Wednesdays, and then you can check the replays out everywhere eventually. I'm Derek Bixler, born and raised in South Central Pennsylvania, commercial and residential real estate agent since 2006, outdoor adventure sportsman, and Google marketing geek. In this room, we talk about how to dominate local search and get business from our Google business profiles, as well as talk about other Google tools and marketing things, and some of which might have to be sold off, as we're going to talk about here when I get to the news. Google has an app or something for everything, and that is becoming a problem as far as monopolies and market shares and all those kinds of things go. So that's what we talk about, Google stuff in here. And sometimes we talk about Facebook ads or other marketing things or whatever, or personal life a little bit. But we talk about Google stuff in here. Replays are available all the places, like I said. Please come up on stage if you're here live. I think I invited everybody up. Let me mod at least one more person. Deborah, you're the second person up there. So we got a couple mods to help me out here live if I need it. And if you're in a different profession or you know anybody in a different profession outside of real estate, all this stuff we talk about in here usually applies to other businesses, translates, just insert your business here, and should work out for you. All my links are in the chat. Like I said, link above is the YouTube channel. If you need to reach out to me or need something, need help with something, the discovery call link is in the chat as well. If you're listening to the replay somewhere else later, I think I put one, there's definitely a link to my website that has links to everything else. So definitely a link to my website if you're listening somewhere else or listening on YouTube later or whatever. Let's get into it. The news, the only news, but pretty big news, and there's other news and Google stuff and SEO, but I'm just going to go over just this piece of news, which I touched on already a little bit. Google, and this started in, I want to say October 2020, one of the lawsuits at least, and I'm still getting a grasp on the lawsuits. Same with the NAR thing, like to even know what's going on, you have to have a thorough knowledge of how lawsuits work. Because I'm reading these articles and then I learned, like, I figured out, okay, there's actually two lawsuits that Google are in. One is for the search side of it. They're saying, well, they do have a monopoly on search, 90% plus share, I think I saw on search. They're the default search on every device. Chrome browser has 60 plus percent of the market. That's the default search of Google. Even other browsers, Google is the default search. Google pays Apple. 1/5 of Apple's profit comes from Google paying to be the default search on Apple. So one of the lawsuits is for search and breaking up their search monopoly, and then the other lawsuit is about their ad tech and running ads and uh, purposely raising prices, and that's where they really get them. A lot of the stuff the DOJ or the plaintiffs are saying is kind of like, well, you're just hating on the winner. They're just crushing and destroying everybody, and that's, you get over it. But where they really get them, or where I see them getting them, is there is evidence of Google like hiding evidence, destroying evidence, conspiring to raise prices, not because the market raised prices, but because their intel and their data showed that advertisers would pay more. So they just literally planned incrementally raised prices. So if you're running Google ads in search, which is 90% of the revenue, maybe not that much, but a majority of the revenue is search ads. If you're running ads, you might just think, well, there's more competition coming into the game, or it's the market right now. There's more people searching for it, or less people searching for it, or you would put it into market conditions, but there is evidence that Google conspired to actually just raise prices because their data showed that advertisers would pay more. So there are two lawsuits, one for the search side of it, one for the ad space side of it. On the search side, and again, I've been between yesterday and this morning, I've listened to and watched a good 4 to 6 hours worth of content, a lot of which ends up being just repeats of reports of different news or YouTuber reporting the same exact thing. Plus, I read a bunch of articles. But from what I could get from what I consumed was on the search side, the penalties, which are not fully in place yet. Again, you have to have a thorough knowledge of how cases work and all the language that people use in articles and things. Some people call things cases, some people call them trials, or the trial is part of the case and then there's an appeal, but then the judgment is. So there's 8 different components of a lawsuit, and I don't know when they happen. So I need to get a YouTube class on just like how lawsuits work, and when the DOJ and they're weighing in, and so it gets very confusing, especially when there's 2 of them, and I'm trying to figure out dates into these articles. They're referencing the other one and then coming back to this one, and it gets very confusing. But anyway, on the search side of it, which I already mentioned, they've got 90+% of the market as far as search goes. They want them to sell Chrome, so Chrome being the browser on an Android phone, you've got a Chrome browser on your phone, and most people have, well, not most people, but a lot of people, 60+% of people have a Chrome browser on their computer as well. So they want them to sell Chrome, and obviously on Chrome, Google is the default search on Chrome. Uh, then also they want them to possibly, if all the other penalties are not sufficient enough or Google doesn't comply good enough, they want them to sell Android operating system. As you know, Android, so there's just Android and Apple iPhones as far as cell phones go, and Google owns Android. So the stuff I read said that wasn't part of it, but if the other stuff isn't good enough, then basically you got to sell Android as well. So sell the browser, possibly sell Android. They want them to not be the default search on any mobile phone. So even on the Google Pixel phone that is made by Google, they want them to not be the default search on any phone. Like I said, right now, Apple gets 20% of their profit from Google to be the default search on there. And every other device, every other browser. One they, what was it, Mozilla, the Firefox browser. Whoever makes that, I think it's Mozilla. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but I think that's it. Uh, 80% of their revenue comes from Google to be the search engine, 400 million or something. It's more like 20 billion to Apple, or maybe 20 billion were the number of Apple users, but it's a very, very large number that Google pays to Apple. So they want them to not be the default browser on any mobile phone ever. I think it's already happened in Europe. I believe on European phones, and it'd be cool if there was someone in here that just got a phone and could tell us. It sounded from what I heard like over there now, when you like set up your phone for the first time, one of the questions it's going to ask you is, what do you want your search engine to be? Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, other, whatever. So sell the browser, sell Chrome, possibly sell Android. Definitely don't be the default search on any mobile phone, although everybody's going to choose it anyway. So I don't know why you would choose anything else. Um, some of it was also put monies into educating the public and telling the public that they have a choice and that we are not the only choice. So there's some of that educating the public stuff in there that they put in every big lawsuit like that. What else? Oh, and they want them to sell their data that the plaintiffs say Google got illegally by having a monopoly on all these things to collect data from. They want them to sell that data or give. Some things I said give, provide. Some things said sell. So I would assume there would be some money exchanged for it, but provide in some way all their data that they obtain from search and all your habits and all that data. They have like 16 times the amount of data on people that any other Microsoft, you name the company, they've got way, 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 way more data. So they want them to sell that data to third parties, to other competitors, basically, which would be Microsoft and ChatGPT. Those are kind of the same thing. And whoever else wants to buy it, Apple or whoever else, which is forcing them to sell their data to direct competition. Plus, it's a privacy thing too. If people have already opted in to give their data to this one thing, and now you're just going to go give that data to this other thing so they can use it to show me ads or whatever, that doesn't make sense either. So But that is one of the things to sell the data to the other companies. And Microsoft has a bigger market cap than Google does, I believe. So that definitely doesn't make any sense. Google has to help somebody else who has also been in antitrust uh, hot water with the DOJ before also. So I don't. A lot of it doesn't make it sense to me. A lot of it feels like they're just it's kind of hating on the winner, but it does. I mean, they clearly have a monopoly and control it all, but it is the best, and that's why they're able to be the best is because they have all that data and they can serve you up what you want to see, and they know which article is the best because they have the most data aggregated, saying more people go to this blog article about this subject, more people do this, and then even another thing I heard was possibly forcing them to get rid of their AI advances and advancing in the AI arena, which is another. I don't know how they could do that or would have the authority to do that, but so Google is in hot water. You heard some of those penalties that seem somewhat ridiculous, some of them, but I guess I mean they do have a monopoly for sure. I'm still going to pick Google for a lot of things, but at least some of this is going to come to fruition. So it's even more critical now, like I've been talking about for the last few episodes, on getting on Apple Business Connect as they move even further away from Google. Potentially, we want to be on Apple Business Connect and on Apple. And if Apple has a search engine, we want to be optimizing. And if there's some kind of thing we got to put on there, we want to be on there. Same with Bing. Those are the two big kind of business profile places right now. But we definitely want to be extending ourselves into other platforms and other search engines and things. And then, so that was a lot to do with the search side of the lawsuit or the search lawsuit. And then there's the ad tech search about them having a monopoly on ads. Um, they do have a huge market share, not as much as the search market share. And I don't have the number in front of me, but they do have a huge market share. But their argument against it is we do not have a monopoly on online ads. There's TikTok, there's Facebook, Meta, there's well, YouTube would be them, but I think this is more search ads, not necessarily YouTube ads. I could be wrong, but there's Meta for sure is enormous. Amazon also becoming huge. Other people can advertise on Amazon now or use Amazon ads, and they've got a display network and an ad network as well. You could run real estate agent ads on the Amazon network. It's harder, and there are minimums, and I think you have to go. Last time I looked into it, you kind of had to were forced to go to a agency to do it because the minimum spend was so small, or I forget what the reason was, but I remember kind of having to go to an agency or whatever. But anyway, there are other big players out there that are getting even bigger. Meta is, I would guess, the second biggest to Google. I don't know that for sure, but I would guess it's got to be. So their argument is we don't have a monopoly on the search side of it. They kind of do, but if they're going to break up all their search monopoly and market share stuff, then that's going to affect the ads and their market share for their ads too. So I don't even know why there would be two lawsuits, or maybe I'm not understanding how lawsuits work either. Maybe they're one, and I'm just stupid. But anyway, so that's how I understand it so far. I'm trying to consume all this information, and I am going to actually. I think I'm going to watch a YouTube video on like how do lawsuits work, or I guess it would be a federal case, but they're not. The one case is in Virginia, and the one case is in D.C. So I don't, and I would guess the D.C. one is a federal case, right? Or is it? Does that mean that as kind of a state is suing or what? I don't understand any of that either. But anyway, so that's the Google news. Just if we didn't have enough already with National Association of Realtors and NAR and all that crap, luckily nothing changed, right? That's what I understand. Nothing changed. It's final and it is as we thought it was going to be. Am I right? Anybody in here know? I think that's it. uh, I think basically what we thought was going to happen happens, and we don't have to learn anything else. So that's good for the NAR one. With this Google one, I don't think any of you will even think about it after listening to this, probably. But when you get a new phone, it might ask you which search engine do you want to use. I mean, this could be the start of ChatGPT gaining more ground, or, if that's one of the choices, Bing's certainly going to be one of the choices, which is tied to ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is trying to get in the search game more, so it might open that up. And I don't know, maybe if I got a new phone, if it asked me, "Do you want Google?" Well, I'm picking Google no matter what, but trying to think as another person, if it asked Google, ChatGPT, or Bing, or I guess if you're on an Apple phone, it would ask you to use Apple search as well. I don't know why Apple wouldn't make all their stuff default. So what happens when Apple has to come up with their own search, which they've already been talking about and planned and just put on hold. All these companies do everything kind of, and then put things on hold if it's not profitable or whatever. Um, but if they up their search game, why that's going to be default on all their stuff, and they've got a huge market share as far as devices go and computers and everything. So then they become, now you just created that beast, which is already a beast. So I don't know. It all seems, I don't know. But that's the news for those few things. And now we'll get into part four, unless anybody has any questions or input or has been following that or not. I'm guessing nobody's following that or has any input. Doesn't have all that much relevance on our lives, other than it's it's making my personal work a little bit harder as far as Google stuff goes, because now, like on my management packages, I'm going to add in Apple Business Connect and Bing Places, which is obviously more work, and I want to try to do that without raising the price much, if at all. So I have to kind of figure out how that's all going to work. And as of right now, it's just kind of setting them up and making sure they're there. But at some point, it could turn into you actually need to be there once a week doing things or posting updates or whatever. So might be a little bit more for me, but is what it is. All right, so Kelly Bob Bayer in Gainesville, Florida. We left off with all his about, his description, his phone number, his attributes, all his main information, basically all the information that would be in your edit profile tab, all your main settings in your profile. And now we are down to his products and updates and his question and answer, which isn't really a section and nobody ever has anything there. But so I guess I'll start with that one, question and answer section, which is a place on a Google business profile, which when you scroll past it, typically, so when I get to his, when you get to that section, if nobody has asked a question and answered a question, you just see questions and answers as the heading. And then there's a little block for me to type, and it says, be the first to ask a question. So, perfect world here is, and these are great signals to Google, similar to getting a review. It's like pulling teeth and even harder to get it than a review, but good signals to Google. And for people reading the profile, it's more bells and whistles, yada, yada. If you can actually get somebody to ask you a question and then you answer the question. So Google, for the most part, just wants you to kind of have an FAQ bank there. And there's two ways to go about it. Either get people to ask you a question and then you answer the question, or you can also just ask the question yourself and then answer the question yourself. If you do that, I would keep them to, again, frequently asked questions. Don't put gobbledygook or stuff that doesn't really matter on there. Also, don't make it timed. Like, I wouldn't do ones like, how much does $500,000 in Gainesville, Texas get me? That's timed. It's going to change. And you're going to have to put in your response. Well, at the time of this writing on November 27th, the price was this, and then you're gonna have to come back to it, and it's just, you don't want to have to do that or have something old there. So if you use it as a FAQ bank, or even if you're asking somebody to ask you a question, you're probably telling them what to ask you. Hey, here, can you go to my profile, copy and paste this question as a question, and then I'll answer it. So I would do more things like, what do I need to know when moving to the area, or more general things like that. So that's what you want to do in the Q&A section. Nobody else ever does it. I put the Q&A section more as a next level ninja thing, especially the trying, like if you are trying to get other people to actually ask you questions, which would be the best way to do it. But again, it's like pulling teeth. If you're doing that, that's definitely some effort and a next level thing. But you can at least put something in there so it's not sitting just saying be the first to say something in a blank section. So I always like to put something in there. It could be one FAQ question, it could be multiple FAQ questions. Maybe you have some on your website or something that you could put in there, or just really quick get some from ChatGPT. Look at them first, edit them first before you finalize them, but use those and put a couple of those in there. Or you could just put kind of a question from you to the person scanning it. So if this did not say be the first to ask a question, there would just be a big, it would just show a question. And if there's only one question there, it's just a big block of text. So you could have a question kind of posed from you to the consumer, which is the opposite way that you use it. But the consumer doesn't really know what it's supposed to be used for, doesn't understand. They're just scanning this thing and they see this big text, which says my default, if I'm doing this method, is usually what what questions do you have about buying or selling a home? So it's kind of a question to them. They can also reply and type stuff in there. So maybe they then ask a question and you connect with them and sell a house. I have no evidence of that ever happening, so don't expect that to happen. But if you just need something to put in there just to get something as a placeholder so that you're kind of using that feature and it doesn't just blank be the first to ask a question, that's what I would recommend. That's bottom level, entry level for the Q&A would be that question from you to the public. What questions do you have about buying or selling a home? The next level would be, yeah, asking and answering your FAQs, your FAQs. So you're doing the asking and the answering, or then going the next step, the ninja step of actually getting other people to ask your business profile questions and then answer those questions. So on his, for audit purposes here, there is nothing that says be the first to ask a question. So I would say he's got to get at least that filler in there, if nothing. And if he's getting got all his other ongoing best practices down, one of those next level ninja tricks would be getting other people to actually ask some more stuff and engage. And then just like the photos and other things that people can like, and the reviews you can like and put fire or heart or praying hands in some places. You want, if you can get people to do that with questions and say, yes, this question and answer was helpful, that kind of stuff helps too. So his question and answer section is empty. He needs to put something in there. What extent he goes is up to him. Then we got the products section. So with the product section, obviously we don't sell t-shirts or widgets, so we don't have actual products that people are going to click on and then click buy and add to cart and all that stuff. But we can productize our services. So most service businesses, if they're savvy, they're going to add some services in their product section. So I usually add definitely all the general ones: listing services, buyer agent services, first time buyer services, like downsizer buying services, downsizing listing services, maybe a veterans and military specialist, maybe relocation services. So you get the idea. All definitely the general listing services, buyer agent services for sure. And then you could have more services beyond that. You could have guides and resources in there too. If you have newsletters or guides or anything like that, sometimes I'll put those in there. I'll have a product category of guides and resources, and then, home buyer guide, and then click here to read that. Seller guide, click here to read that. And then the other thing that I do in the product section, and this is probably more important, I think. I mean, the services, I think those are important, especially if you're only adding a couple. It's easy to add a couple, and those are kind of a set it and forget it. Once you do those, it's done. And it's just like adding a social media post. You put an image, you put your text, you pick a button, learn more, and you put whatever you're clicking to there. And there's always a call button on your products on the user end. So you have the clickable link that you can add, and then always by default on the products when people are looking at them, there's a call button anyway. Um, so those you kind of set it, add your services, and you really don't need to do anything with those ever again unless you want to change them or update them or add more or whatever. For ongoing purposes in the product section, you want to add past sales for sure. With my clients, I always start off with give me 5 past sales. I add 5 of them on there, and they're literally like the main image of the house, just as sold across the front of it. And then the product is says like sold colon address. The description is the address plus maybe some written description. Click to sell your home now. And then for the button, I add a Calendly link because that's the closest thing to a call button. And you don't want to send them to the property because that property is not for sale and that's going to lead nowhere probably anyway. And it might be a broken link at this point. If you put some link that once it sells, that link doesn't go anywhere, that wouldn't work or be good either. So you definitely want to add past sales. The reason you want to add them is for conversion. I've had multiple cases where people outright said, I called you because of the sold houses on your profile. It looks like you were selling more in the area than the other people, yada, yada. And the only place on those profiles was that they would have seen that would have been the product section. And those people only had like 5-ish, the ones that I put on there. So they may or may not have been selling more than the other person. They just appeared to be, and on quick glance, scanning a profile really quickly, like people do. If you've got big, bold, sold in town that you're looking, sold in town that you're looking, sold in town that you're looking, that can have a lot of impact for conversion. And it's an act that you can take. Google likes when you go into your profile and check your settings and add an update and add a product and just use the things. It's little brownie points with Google. So adding them also kind of adds to that trust factor with Google itself. So I would definitely add sold products. I'm looking at his. Looks like he has active products in here, which isn't bad. I'm not completely against. So it looks like he's got like a lot for 50 grand for sale, a new construction house for 340, something else for about $1 million. Looks like a ranch or something. So he's got some stuff that looks like it's current stuff. I would be willing to bet that if I looked some of these up, I bet at least one of them sold or sold a long time ago or is pending now or something, which is the reason. And I'm not saying there are, I didn't check them, I don't know. But that's the reason I don't put active ones on there. So, I mean, if I'm being really anal and I want to really crush it and I'm really good at Google stuff so I can do it, I might add my actives on there while they're active as a for sale listing as a product and then market sold when it goes sold. But the problem with that is that active marketing it sold. So I can't tell you how many profiles I've gone to where I go to the product section, like, okay, how about this house? That's sold 3 years ago. Oh, that one sold a month ago. Oh, that one sold, and none of them are up to date. They're all out of compliance if someone was actually checking, and you have them sitting here as a thing for sale on Google, on the biggest search engine, 90% market share search engine on the planet. So that's why I don't do them, especially if you're a big team or you're a high producer and you have a lot of listings. I don't like to add active listings on there because, especially with me too, if you're doing coming soon. So I put it on there, I mark it coming soon, the image says coming soon, then it goes active for sale, then I gotta change it to for sale, then I gotta change it to pending, then I gotta change it to sold and all the things. And I have to remember it every time. So if I can't even keep up with that, then other people definitely aren't. So I don't add active listings. You could if you want to, and if you're definitely going to be on it in your SOPs and checklists, make sure that when it sells, it's being marked that. Um, that's fine, but it also saves you some energy. I don't think many people are getting listing calls or traffic to their listing or anything from their products on their product section. Is more of a conversion tool, I think. So he hasn't ignored his product section completely. So he's got at least uh, half. I'll give him like a 5 out of 10 just for even knowing it exists and putting anything there. Maybe a couple more. I'll give him a 6 for his product section. I think that's a little generous, but He could definitely get some services in there, some past sales, and then that's part of my ongoing best practices. Every week, I add a past sale in there. If you have settlements regularly, you just add them as you have them in your product section. If you don't, or like me, you don't, I refer stuff now, or I do more marketing than the production or whatever. If I don't have one that week, I just go back to the multi list, find one I haven't added yet, and add that as a sold product. Oh, and a note to your sold products: do not add the price, because that's going to look weird. Or if I pull one that I sold 6 years ago, 8 years ago, that's going to look weird that that house that is now $600,000 I sold for 325. That's going to look weird. So when you're adding these sold houses to your product section, I would not add the price in there. So that's his product section, and then we got his updates, the last section. And I updates are always the last thing on a profile, so you got to scroll the whole way down to get somebody's updates. They have also started inserting them mostly on mobile, always on mobile. I think definitely on the Google Maps app, and I think in the browser sometimes too. But when you see somebody's Google Business profile, and you see the photos all the way at the top, and you can kind of swipe sideways to go through their photos. In that photo collage, which used to be only photos you put specifically in your photos section and videos, now it will pull up uh, updates up into that collage of images, and it will take kind of a snippet out of the text sometimes and lay it on top. I've even seen sometimes it puts a review snippet on top of the image or whatever. So the updates becoming a little bit more important because Google is pulling them up there, and it always calls out very prominently, this photo was added 2 days ago, 17 days ago, which was his most recent. This update was 4 hours ago, or whatever. So Google likes recency. It calls it out to people. I think it helps for conversion if people see that, which is probably why Google does it. So if you can add things regularly to your photos section, but also updates and the right kinds of updates, that's definitely important. I'm just scrolling back down now to his updates to see what he's posting as updates. The updates are, I'd say it's the closest thing to kind of a social media post on your Google Business profile. When you hear people say, I'm posting, quote unquote, to my Google Business profile, that can mean a lot of things. You could be putting them in your photo section, could be adding products in there, blah, blah, blah. But what I think they usually mean is what they call updates, add update. So your updates, your regular updates, are kind of like a social media post. You have a place to put an image, a place to put some text, and then you pick a button. I can see that his button is learn more or no button. So I would change that right away to call now button, and always have the call now button. So always have a button, and I would do call now. Reason being, we don't want to send them somewhere else about, what's this one? The best time to buy a home this year in North Texas. So a lot of these are articles, and they look like maybe he's paying for a service, which I also wouldn't do because it's a complete waste, and what they put on here is a waste, and they put the wrong button on here. But most of these are blog posts and educational things, which are okay. However, we don't want to send somebody else away from here down another rabbit hole. They came to Google, they typed in buyer agent because they need to go see that house that they saw on Zillow right now, or my mom just died and I'm trying to find 3 agents to come look at this house and give me their proposals or whatever. They're looking for people to call right now. They're going to make a choice and they're going to call somebody. So you don't want to send them away at all. You're not trying to build subscribers to your YouTube channel from here. You're not trying to get blog post readers. You're not trying to get email subscribers. You're not trying to send people to a listing page. First of all, it's not going to happen a lot, so it's wasted energy. And second of all, it's not what we want. If somebody does happen upon your Google Business profile, everything on here should be geared towards getting them to convince them that you're the person they should choose and call me right damn now. So get rid of that learn more button. Don't send them anywhere else. always have a call now button. And if you think about it, the customer journey, they go to Google, again, usually on mobile, type in realtor near me. They see a couple. Hopefully, eventually, you can get up to rank. But note, people like to shop for people too. So just because there's three top ranking people doesn't mean, studies show that doesn't mean those people always they get more of the share of clicks and choices, but people do for sure click see more, and they like to scroll and shop businesses and shop for people too. So nice to rank, but don't have to. But hopefully you're in the mix there. Realtor near me, they pick you, say, oh, I like his face, enough reviews that this business could probably be trustworthy. Might be one image there that they can see. So there's enough on the little snippet that I'll consider this business. They click on your profile, and then everything on your profile should be screaming, I do what you're looking to do in the place that you're looking to do it, and I'm awesome. So three things. I do it in the place that you need it done, and I do the services you need done, and I'm awesome at it. And other people think so. So they click on the profile to look at it, and as they're scanning it, everything on there from the photo section to the services to your reviews to the products, all that stuff, they're hitting all these things as they scan your profile. So it's they do what I need in the place I need it, and they're awesome. They do what I need in the place I need it, and they're awesome. They do what I need in the place and they're awesome. And then the last thing they get to and see are your updates. And it's an endless scroll of your updates until they get to the end of them. And if you have a lot of them, they will never get to the end of it. And if you do what I do, which is my favorite way to do it, and you can do it or not, doesn't matter. But my favorite thing to do there for the updates is testimonial posts. So the image with some of the testimonial. I don't like to put the whole testimonial in the image because it's tiny text and it doesn't have the same impact. I will not get on that soapbox again right now, but a testimonial image, and then I just copy and paste literally the testimonial as the description, and then underneath Brian, home seller, and then a call now button. And I love it for two reasons. On that customer journey, the last thing they see. So the whole profile was saying, I do what you need in the place you need it done, and I'm awesome. And okay, awesome, awesome. And then they hit the end of it, and it's just, again, awesome, diligent, fantastic, works well, helpful, communicate. Okay, I'm convinced. Click call now. So it's that end convincer. Every single person that calls me cites reviews as the reason because I make very big point of calling out reviews. Also, like I said, those updates now get pulled up into that top photos section. So now, even at the top, right under your name and the reviews, if they go sideways in your photos, that fourth image, a lot of times, if you go to my profile, I guarantee at least one or two of those images at the top will be testimonial updates that got pulled up there. So they're saying pretty photo, client photo, pretty house, and then a big like awesome, diligent posted 2 days ago, and then another pretty house, another smiling client, another post, awesome, great communication posted 8 days ago. So it really has a good impact on convincing people that part that you're awesome. So that's my favorite thing to do because it converts like crazy, and the second part of it is it's super, super easy. It's a no brainer. I don't have to think about it. I don't need a landing page. I don't need a link to go find. I don't have to write anything or think about composing a caption. The image itself, the creative, super no brainer. I just pull two words out of the review, change the two words that are in the image on Canva. That's my image. The like I said, the description or the post text itself is just copy paste the review itself, and then Brian home seller, and then a call now button. So it couldn't be any simpler. I could do it in probably 30 seconds if I had to, and it converts like crazy. So for his updates for the audit purposes here, like I said, he's linking out to stuff which I definitely would not do. I would at least at the bare minimum, if you don't have the time to post different content or do something differently, at least just switch to a call now button. Then the next step would be give more consideration to what you're actually posting. Post stuff that's more about conversion and convincing people to call you right now rather than educational stuff or other rabbit hole stuff. Because even if they don't click on yours, if they see top reasons for selling, and they're like, oh no, maybe I need to think about this before I call any agent or something. Like you don't want to bring up any questions to people really. So I would keep it to real estate related stuff. Property posts like this house for sale, open house for this one, which I would add as an event post on there. Um, you could do that kind of stuff too. So it doesn't have to be only testimonial posts, but that's definitely a great one to do. It could be just one of those every week and that's all you do. I think that's fine. You could do a little bit more, but I definitely wouldn't. I would stay away from the educational side and definitely wouldn't be sending them out anywhere else. It should be the opposite. Like if they're watching your YouTube channel or reading your blog, it should be the opposite. You've reached them there. Now they're about to call you. Now they type you into Google to make sure you're okay to call, that one last little vetting tool, and you come up and look awesome on Google and you want them to now call you. You don't want to send them back down the loop or down some other loop of not calling you right now. So always with Google, it's always, especially at least with the Google business profile, if you're running search ads, then a lot of times it's you got to have a clickable link and then you have a landing page, blah, blah, blah. But with the Google business profile, it's call me now, call me right now, call me right now. I do what you need and I'm awesome at it. So that is it for Kelly Bob Bears. Finally, part 4, we got through it and I'm 5 minutes to 10, so perfect timing. Anybody have any questions or anything about any of that? I'm just seeing some people I didn't see earlier. I know I'm at the end and you don't need to come up, but I'm going to invite you up anyway because I like people to feel included and wanted. So if you do have a question or anything, feel free to come up and input. Otherwise, all good also. Sweet. All
I'm
right.
gonna implement the. I keep forgetting to do the review photo update section. I think that's key. And I'm taking away like no real education, no questionable posts, no scare posts that we see all on IG. It's all like reasons why you need to call me. So I get that rationale because they have a high intent to hire somebody. They don't need to question, like they already decided they wanted to sell or buy. They don't need to question it. And I believe that part, the questions belong in the conversation.
For sure.
So I was probably not doing it correctly in the beginning. So now, it's like, okay, push the call button, which is another good, don't push to learn more, push the call button, and then I can go answer the questions you need to know. So yeah.
Totally. And nothing better than social proof. And I personally suck at getting client photos and asking for reviews. Like my review request process probably feels a little automated potentially. Maybe that's just my personality. But yeah, I suck at that. But if you can get like those photos too, those are huge. I mean, those are great for updates too, anything like
I
that.
interview my sellers.
I
I
have
interview
seen a
them.
couple of yours. That's bold. That's good too.
I just literally pull out my microphone, my DJI mic, and they look at me like, "What are you doing?" Like, "We're gonna do an interview, and it's only gonna take 3 minutes. Is that okay?" Like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." Like, "What are you gonna ask me?" I'm like, they give me simple questions. Like, leave it like, "How was your selling experience? What was some challenges, and how did you feel at the end of the day?" That's it. Or I may change it up, like super simple. And
Yeah,
then
that's
put the
killer.
camera up. They hold the mic and press record, and then get a photo.
Do you have them anywhere where they're like all in one place, like a web page where you like here, check out all my testimonials or
I
something?
have them in a YouTube testimonial folder thing, channel, or I forget what it's called. And I grouped them all. I sent my editor, I've been so darn busy. I sent my last closing. It was a really good testimonial. And only cruddy thing is I actually did it in vertical. So, because I wanted to put some on YouTube, but I have like I group them all in a folder. So if anyone's like, I only had one person ask for a reference. And I was like, well, here's my YouTube reference testimony seller. Like, there's probably 7 of them. Now there's like 8 or there would be 10 if I got them all. edited, but here's at least five after closing. At the closing, here are my reviews, and then I get it signed after that. So it's one link. I group them in the YouTube.
Yeah, that's great. Put them on they can be in flyers, scan this QR code to check out my, yeah, that's great. Especially once you have like 10 or 20, I don't know how many you have, maybe you already have that many, but once you have a bunch there, then that's going to have a lot of impact. And a lot of people don't, just the act that you have it conspicuously, like here, you can check out my reviews here. I got Google ones, I got videos. They won't even scan them just because you said you have them and they know they could go see them. They probably won't. But having them there and calling them out, just that the fact that makes them trusted or whatever.
Hey Derek, I have a question.
What's up?
On your when you list your solds, most recent properties you sold, do you hand put the address in? Because I know you said don't put the price, which makes sense. So how do you add those to your Google, without the price?
Yeah, my default way, and you could do it a little bit differently, but I definitely have the address in there because that's the only part of the product that really would have any SEO or like maybe get somebody to come upon it. Here and there in the performance tab, when you look at like the keywords that a profile shows up for, here and there, you'll see a couple addresses in there, and the way that that happen is probably happening is the product that they added for a listing or whatever. So I think you definitely want, I put literally the entire address. So like the title, the first thing you're putting into the product, it says sold in all caps, sold colon, because I want to be very, very clear that this thing is not for sale. I'm fully compliant. This thing's sold, and that's why I put the sold on the image as well. So sold colon, and then I just put the entire address, including zip code, the full postal address, and then I copy that line, the sold colon address, and that is the first line in my description as well. And then underneath that, you could write more. If it's your listing, you could copy and paste your description or whatever. I don't think you need to feel compelled to keyword stuff it or write a billion characters. It's not keyword stuffing, and doing that doesn't really help you. I know I said the address might get you to show up a little bit, but will rarely happen. And it definitely, like keyword stuffing and doing all that, really won't do anything in the product section. I think it's more the title of the product, frankly, than the description part that does it when it does it. But anyway, so I copy paste that on the description, and then the last line of my description is click learn more to chat about buying or selling your next home, I think is what I say. And then the learn more button takes them to the Calendly link. And like I said, if there was a call button there, I would put the call button, but they don't give you a call button. You can only do learn more. But there is always a call button on products anyway. So when they're looking at a product, there's going to be two things. There's going to be a call button plus whatever you put there. But yeah, I'm very clear about it being sold for sure, or it's for sale or pending or whatever the case may be.
Okay, thank you. And you made it sound so easy. I'm not, but thank you, Derek.
Yeah, you
I'll
can always
try.
go to my profile and just pull one up and
Yeah, that's what I
copy
was gonna
paste.
do. I was gonna go to your profile and check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, and don't overcomplicate it. Like I said, like in my description, it's literally the sold address underneath. I put how many beds and bath, 3 bed, 2 bath square feet, and then it's the line about click to buy or sell your next home. I put zero effort into filling up that space. Some people, yeah, I'm gonna stick with doesn't matter. I think some people might say maybe there's merit to it, or there's definitely videos out there that say post updates 20 times a day and make sure you're stuffing it with keywords and that's going to help you rank, and it's not. Usually when those people are talking about that, like how I got all these organic leads from Google, seller leads from Google for $0, and then the video is I posted updates 5 times a day on my Google business profile. I I don't believe it. It's probably if it's true that they are that successful in getting leads, they are probably doing all the things. They're probably also getting reviews every day. They're probably also posting products. They're probably also getting people to go to their profile a lot. They're probably also having a good website that's SEO optimized. So when people say those things, and even sometimes it's true, like they think that is maybe why, but I still don't buy it in the gurus I follow say posting a million times a day or keyword stuffing all the places where Google allows you to put words will work. So I wouldn't spend a ton of effort on the description of a product for sure. Any other questions or anything?
Derek, I had a question about the call now button, but I think you answered it already. So you can't change the learn more to call now.
Not on products, correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. And there might be a couple other options like book now, or there might be a few other options, but I'm pretty sure learn more is the one I always pick that makes the most sense, I think, out of what they give you. All right.
No, I just wanted to add something real quick if I can, because it could help others in the room. You know how I've asked a couple times, like, why am I not getting any calls on my ads? I brought that up in the room several times over the last year. I figured out what it was, and that could help others. So, what it was when I switched brokerages from EXP to Epic, I never uploaded my new E&O insurance. And I don't know, do they send you an email asking you to upload the new insurance, or are you just supposed to know? Because if they did send it, I must have missed it. Are you aware of
Might
if
be in
they?
your spam if you ignore their emails. They probably end up. Google itself will put its own emails into your spam. Yeah,
Okay,
they
that's
typically it would say there'd be a couple warnings. Usually, it says it's expiring soon, and then once it actually expires, it'll tell you because they want you to spend money. They'll bug you and say, "Hey, you need to upload this new thing." Um,
right. So,
but
yeah,
yeah,
I guess I missed it. And just so for everybody in the room, if you do switch your brokerage, you want to make sure that you upload that new E&O insurance, and it will trigger a new background check as well. So now I'm just waiting for my new background check to clear, and then I can start getting my calls again, because I was getting them pretty regularly, and then all of a sudden they stopped, and I just didn't make that connection, and I truly did not see these emails. So I will go back and check, but hopefully that helps anyone else going through a similar situation in the future.
yeah. Thanks for sharing. Is there gas in the tank? How stupid
Right.
do I feel when you're like,
I know. I
oh,
felt so
of
dumb.
course. See, at the firehouse, I feel stupid constantly because everything has like little switch or something, and they're like, "Go do this," and nobody tells you how to do it. It's just like a bunch of dudes with mustaches that kind of figure it out, dude. Figure it out. Go to get this thing and do that thing. And I'm like, "Where is this? How do it?" And then you get flustered, and they're like, "The button's right there, dude." I'm like, "Oh, of course,
That's
it's right
funny.
there."
Have you gotten any business from the firehouse yet, because you're like working on stuff while you're there?
Not yet, but I am slowly making sure everybody knows that I'm a real estate agent. I need to make some
Very cool.
specific shirts or something.
I know you will. That's awesome. Congrats.
Thanks. Anybody else? Any questions? Anything? Wins? All right. Cool. Well, I am going to, I don't know what I'm going to go do some work, and then I don't have to cook anything. So I'm probably just going to chill. Actually, probably get the kids early today. Maybe we'll go climbing again. Piper needs climbing shoes though, so we got to do that. I've been renting them every time we go, and that's obviously a complete waste when we climb a lot. But anyway, all right. If nobody else has anything, thanks for joining, and we will see you next time. And happy Turkey Day.
Thanks, Derek, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you.